Hi everybody, I wanted to share with you my top 10 favorite Usborne books and more that we have in our house right now. I'm sure as we continue to get more titles that will change. We have a ton that just came out that I'm super excited to get my hands on, but for right now these are my top 10 favorite that I personally own. Starting for little ones, the Slide and See. This is baby's very first Slide and See Animals. I think our That's Not My series gets lots of attention, and this one's kind of a hidden gem. What I love about them is they're super sturdy. This one is held up against all of my kids. You can see a little bit of a bite mark from Jack Jack, but it's reinforced, so it didn't even really damage the book that much. And what's fun about these is that instead of flaps or touch and feel, they have slides, and so they stay pretty sturdy and they're fun for kids. And with their little fingers, they can still do that pretty easily. So slide to see what's going on with the animal. Here's a chameleon's tongue, slurp, slurp, slurp. My favorite is the meerkats in this one. So, peekaboo. And even on the pages, they also have some finger trails for kids to touch as well. So the Slide and See, and this one is Animals. This book I recommend to almost everybody. It's all better. What is special about this book is that it comes with these reusable stickers, these Band-Aid stickers. And if these get dirt or things on the back of them, you can just rinse them in cold water and then leave them out to dry and they'll be good as new. And they're reusable. And so what's fun is there's Band-Aids in here for each of the animals. So as you're reading, you can put the Band-Aids on the page. Oh no, dog wasn't looking where he was going. Ouch. Clean it, kiss it, and put a Band-Aid on it. And so your little one can put the Band-Aid on dog's paw, and it'll be all better. Really fun. If you like all better, we also have one called Little Bear Needs Glasses that has those reusable stickers as well. They're little glasses ones. One of my all-time favorites is Animally. It is a cross between a board book and just a regular paper book. It's got like cardstock pages, which makes it a little bit extra sturdy. And it's a bedtime story. It's got rhyming and rhythm, and it's just really sweet. So I love you hugely like a whale. I love you shyly like a quail. I love you cleverly like a fox. I love you powerfully like an ox. And it goes through all of these different animals and all the ways you love your little one. And then ends with, I love you so, for you're my family. Really cute. If you like Animally, we also have B is for Bedtime, which has that same rhyming and rhythm and sturdy cardstock pages. Nibbles. Nibbles is my fave. I recommend this one to everybody. My kids who are 2, 5, and 7 all love this book and request it regularly. It's just so unique and fun. So Nibbles is a little monster, and he gets out of his cage. And Nibbles loves to nibble. He nibbles everything, but his favorite thing to nibble is books. And Nibbles escapes into a library, and he starts to get into other stories and cause some chaos. So this book has books inside of books, which is really cool. And so as he causes chaos in all these different stories, and we finally think we've caught him, and we get him into his crate, and we close it, and phew, we're so thankful. But uh-oh, he escaped again. And so kids think it's so neat that the pages and even the book itself have been nibbled by Nibbles. We even have a plush Nibbles if you're interested. My favorite counting book, not just from Usborne but of all time, is Count to 100. It has those sturdy pages again, and it doesn't count just by ones. It starts to count by tens and goes all the way up to 100. And what I like about this book is it has beautiful illustrations, but it's more than just a counting book. It leaves opportunities for you to count by fives, by tens, even talk about a little bit about multiplication. And it has other questions to ask as you work your way through it, as kids start to become able to answer those questions. So we're counting by ones here. We get to tens. Starting to count by 20. Simple questions, even like find a cat driving a pink car, so some color recognition. Here it says there's 5 birds on a branch. How many are on this side? So we can count by fives to figure out how many birds are on this side and then how many all together. It goes all the way up to 100 twinkling stars. One of my most favorite counting books. Count to 100. I love the picture puzzle series. We have some really great seek and find books, but this one's probably my favorite. We have cats and dogs, but there are several others. And what's fun about these is that the pictures are full spread, just covered with dogs or covered with cats, kind of like a Where's Waldo vibe. And the questions and the things to look for are leveled. So there are ones that my 2-year-old can do, ones that my 5-year-old can do, and ones that even my 7-year-old can do. For example, which 2 dogs are in love? So my 2-year-old will be able to find these 2 dogs here with the heart. Or who's whizzing around on wheels? He can find the dog on the skateboard. But then if I want it to be a little bit more challenging, whose tail is the longest? Might be one for my 5-year-old. And then find 7 dogs without collars. That's a good one for my 7-year-old. So the questions are at different difficulty levels, which means that everybody can get involved. So pages just full of cats or dogs, and even solutions in the back. Picture puzzle books. One of my favorite picture books is You Choose. I love this because kids get to be in control. My kids like when we all get involved, so when my husband and I also make some choices and the whole family can make different choices. And every time you read the book, it's a little bit different. So you start out with, if you could go anywhere, where would you go? And each person can pick a different spot. So I might say I would go to space. And my son Benny might say, I'd go to that volcano over there. And we can all pick our own different spot to go. And then who would you like for your family and friends? So my kids like to say who their mom would be and their dad and their best friend. What kind of home would you live in? And so on. All these different choices. And each time you read it, you can pick something different. Super fun. You choose. We also have one called Just Imagine that is similar. The Tale of Two Beasts. This one is fantastic for teaching kids that people see things differently and there can be different perspectives for the same situation. It starts out with a little girl walking home from her grandmother's house, and she sees this little beast hanging on the tree and whining sadly, she says. She thinks it's whining sadly. So she believes she's rescuing it, and she wraps it up in her scarf and takes it home, walks it around on a leash, shows it to her friends, all of this. And one night it just runs away, and she can't figure out why did the little beast run away? I did all this nice stuff for this little beast. And then the second part of the story starts it all over again, but from this little beast's perspective. So here he is, just hanging out on his tree, singing happily to the birds, when all of a sudden, I was ambushed by a terrible beast. So the little beast thinks the little girl is a terrible beast. And it says she growled at me and tied me up and carried me off to her secret lair. So it shows that he didn't see things quite the same way she did. And in the end, they come to common ground and figure out exactly where the other one was coming from. But it created some really good conversations with my kids about how two people could see things very differently. One of the most well-loved and used books in our house is Questions and Answers About Animals. It's a Lift the Flap book. We have a bunch of these on all different topics, and the reason kids love them is that they're so engaging and interesting and interactive, and at the same time they're learning lots of information. The question and answer series ones will have which, who, what, why, and how. One of those words on each page, so that theme kind of goes throughout all the question and answer Lift the Flap books. And so this book exactly is the reason why my kids know why flamingos are pink. So this is the how page, and each flap asks a question. So how do bats see in the dark? And if you wanted to know the answer to that, you just flip it open. They hear their way around, sending out high-pitched squeaks and listening for echoes. Why, yes or no, what, which. Really fun. Tons of flaps with little bite-sized pieces of information. Lift the Flaps, questions and answers. And lastly, a reference book. I know a lot of people don't get excited about reference books, but I do about ours because they're ones that kids actually want to use. This book is Not Your Everyday Illustrated Thesaurus. It is a book that my daughter Claire picks up just to read for fun. And I think it's because of the way it's laid out. It's set up with themes and really interesting pictures to go with it. And so in the beginning there's a table of contents if you know exactly what you're looking for. But, like I said, my daughter picks it up just to read. and give you a couple examples of what's in here. So different words to use instead of nice, feeling words, words to say instead of said, words for in the town or the country, in the mountains or the desert, words for around the house. Really interesting and fun book, the Not Your Everyday Illustrated Thesaurus. So those are my top 10 favorites right now that we currently have. Happy book shopping!